Alright, hey, what is up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. After a flood of emails, messages, tweets, and questions from concerned people in the community, I felt it definitely necessary to post on this video, why not? I mean, it's right up our alley. However, there is, I guess you could call it some pandemonium, some controversy, some outright fear over this news story that has gone viral on the internet and is now scaring people into the belief that there is some rogue mystery object heading towards Earth, or at least that is one of the theories. So if you don't know, and it'd be pretty hard not to know, this report has hit the web over the past day, where a researcher was going over some images of our sun from NASA's Stereo Probe website. Now, for those of you who don't know, NASA has got two spacecraft that are up in space monitoring the sun that take an entire array of different spectral visual images of our sun, beam them back to Earth, and you can feel free to head over to the website and look them up and, just see what's going on with our sun. We have published footage from the Stereo website numerous times where we have captured anomalous activity around our sun happening. And it would seem that this researcher found what they called, and what many people who have posted on this story since are calling, a mystery object. This giant, glowing, fiery object that momentarily appeared out in space. So, before we go any further, let's just head over to the Stereo website. The object appeared on November 16th, becoming visible for a short period of time before disappearing again. So, go ahead and check this out. Alright, so what you're seeing here is a view of space. Alright, you're seeing stars in the background, and this would appear to be the very first image where this object appears. And just to make it clear, these two objects that you're seeing here, the top one here is Earth, and this one on the bottom here is the star known as Aldebaran. So, we are looking at what is called the Stereo Ahead. There's two spacecraft. One is the Stereo Ahead, one is the Stereo Behind. So we can get images of both sides of the sun. And as you can see here, we have this very menacing object. That looks to what some are saying. Some are saying that it is a large alien craft that is momentarily decloaking itself. Now, the sun is off to the left, and you can actually see the light from the sun shining. So the sun is off to the left hand of the screen. And so as you're seeing, we're just slowly cycling through here, letting this video loop over and over. And so let's go ahead and pause it on, giving us the best shot. Let's stop on the best shot of this object here, put it in full screen so you guys can get a good look at it. And I agree. This is shocking. I can understand why it would be scary and why I'm getting a ton of messages asking me, is this Planet X? Is this Nibiru? Is this some sort of rogue object heading for Earth? And so, after doing some fairly easy research, and again, let me speak, and then you can let me know what you think down in the comments, but just listen to what I'm going to say. So, there are either two answers to this question. Either this is some sort of massive object, spacecraft, rogue, planet, star, etc., that for whatever reason was invisible to the camera in every other frame but momentarily became visible, which would then imply that it did have some sort of cloaking device around it. Or this is simply a glitch in the Stereo Ahead satellite, and therefore there is absolutely nothing to worry about. So, dealing with the first possibility. Now, as I said earlier, we have featured footage and clips from the Stereo spacecraft in the past where we have indeed captured various objects, anomalous activity, UFOs, captured around the sun in all shapes and all sizes. We also have found, and this may be evidence that leans towards this being a legitimate object, is that we have also found these large circular or orb-shaped objects that are hundreds of times the size of Earth that we have witnessed sucking plasma from the sun. That footage you're seeing here. And we have seen these objects before, where they are quite literally siphoning plasma from the sun before finally detaching. You can see the sun's plasma band snapping back to the sun's surface, and then we see the object move out of frame and disappear. We have also captured imagery where we have found these large round objects just sort of sitting in the distance, not coming near or interacting with the sun. However, out of all of those objects, none of them were as large as this one. This object here, believe it or not, is the same exact size as our sun. And as you're looking at it, you're probably saying to yourself, this really looks similar to our sun. When you look at the normal stereo images from day to day, this is basically what the sun looks like. And so what we have found out is that, unfortunately, this is not exactly the big smoking gun evidence that many had jumped the gun and originally thought, causing this viral news story that truly is scaring a ton of people, because it would appear that this is simply a glitch. Now, for those of you who can, and I urge you to, head over to the Stereo website. I will put the link down below. And on that website, you will find a specific page set aside entitled Image Artifacts and Corrupted Images. You're seeing that page here. And if you'll notice, the images that it's showing you, they look very similar to what we're seeing here. And it says, and I quote, "On rare occasions, the SETI image processor onboard stereo becomes overloaded and produces corrupted images. Generally, these take the form of images from one telescope processed as if they were from another telescope, which leads to double exposures, and where data from several telescopes can appear in the same image." And this is actually quite common, especially if you have watched and analyzed the stereo spacecrafts as much and as long as I have. You will notice these glitches, and yes, it does happen. No spacecraft is impervious to glitches, overheating, or overall corruption of data as it's being transferred between the spacecraft and Earth, and the software on Earth that then translates it to the final image that you see on this website. So then, I sent an email and contacted the NASA official on the website that's actually listed at the bottom of the screen by the name of Joseph Gurman. And of course, I explained to him that for many of us, NASA already has a reputation and is honestly not trusted by the large majority of researchers out here due to their past falsehoods and cover-ups. But I digressed, and I simply asked, is there something to worry about here? So then I got a response back where, the gist of it was, and I'll just kind of break it down here without all of the technical mumbo-jumbo so you guys can understand it. Basically, what NASA stated to me was that what we are seeing here is, in fact, a corrupted image. And that basically what happened, in layman's terms, is that the stereo-ahead satellite became overheated. And that when this happens, a failsafe kicks into play and begins a shutdown of the spacecraft. Now, during that time that the spacecraft began shutting down, the data that was sent back to Earth became corrupted, and the software here on Earth that was used to decode said data was confused by this. And basically what had happened is that we had gotten an earlier image of the sun superimposed over this area of blank space, and that is actually what you are seeing. This is not a rogue object, this is the sun. And of course you can say, well, Tyler, are you just going to take this NASA employee's word at face value? And honestly, before I even emailed this employee, I had pretty much already determined that this was, in fact, a corrupted image, because there is no way that this object could have become visible without a large majority of the amateur astronomers on Earth not having seen it, and also without having a direct effect on our own planet and the surrounding bodies. And to further prove, and you can check this yourself, that this is just an artifact, if you actually look at this object, you can actually pull up the stereo ahead EUVI 171 images, which were taken on the same day at about just the same time, which will give us an actual view of the sun. You're seeing that image here, and I'll actually put them up here side by side. And I want you to look at both of these, and I want you to notice the similarities between the sun here on the left and this alleged alien object here on the right, and notice how visually similar they are. You'll notice on the sun here, we have these black sort of squiggly lines with these branches coming out of them, these arms here. And you'll notice the same things over here on this object, where we have these same black streaks and these arms branching off. You'll also notice here, we have this white splotch here, kind of curves over and up. And again, we look over to this supposed rogue object, and again, here we see this white curving object. It's the same thing. It's the same image. It's our sun. And it's actually quite common, and it's something that we have seen before. The only difference here is that someone actually saw it in real time, didn't know what it was, and posted it online without doing some simple checking. People are worried when they see stuff like this, particularly people who aren't necessarily researchers or really know anything about this topic. All they see is a news story flashed on RT or the Daily Mail, and they see something like this and it scares them. So again, for all of you guys messaging me, I urge you to head over to the Stereo website, look up this object on 11/16. I believe it was also seen on 11/17. Search it yourself, read up on corrupted images and image artifacts, read up on how these spacecraft work, and then you will certainly find the answer, and that is that, unfortunately, this time, we can rule this out as being anything out of the norm. But again, that is not to say, as I mentioned earlier, that we have not found and displayed on this channel many of the pieces of evidence displaying anomalous activity happening around our sun. So yeah, there you have it. Any of you who were worried about this or simply wanted to figure out what it was, hopefully you can breathe a sigh of relief, and we will move on as usual. Alright, so thank you guys for stopping by. Be sure to like and share, and heck, even subscribe if you want on your way out. I'd really appreciate it. So stay tuned for much, much more, and I'll see you back in just a bit.